This is the 2019 Hyundai Tucson. This is what the car will look like. That's what the interiors are like on the car that gets to India in the second half of 2019. Let's drive it and see how the new one is. The new Tucson gets styling updates that makes the car look fresh and upmarket. You can immediately see the new DRLs, the way the headlights blend into the grille. It makes the car look sharper, it looks more focused, and more importantly, it looks more expensive than before. But there's a lot more to talk about. The 2019 Tucson is technically a facelift, but they've done quite a bit of work, and not just on the exterior, and that's the surprise. Because even inside, there are changes, and the most noticeable one obviously is that this 8.5-inch touchscreen is now sticking out of the dashboard like a tablet. It releases quite a bit of space. It allows the dashboard to be lower. There's a slight sense that the space here has increased, at least visually, and it does make this car feel a little bit more upmarket and a little bit more spacious. So on that front, I think that's a win. The other thing that I noticed is that these materials feel very similar to what we already get, and there's no serious upgrade there. But there are a lot more things on this car because it's a very, very highly spec'd car. I'm not sure that all of these little bits are going to come to India, and most certainly this is the four-wheel drive car with four-wheel drive lock, and I'm sure that that is definitely not coming to India anytime soon. So a mild refresh of this kind of comprehensive nature, nicely done. The car we are driving is a 1.6-litre engine that we are unlikely to see in India anytime soon. It also features Hyundai's slick-shifting 7-speed dual-clutch transmission as well as four-wheel drive. So let's focus on what we will get, the rest of the car in feel and behavior. When you drive the Tucson, you realize that it is an interesting car in the sense that it drives like the old car does. It's a little bit stiff initially, so you thud a little bit over the bumps. But on the flip side, it's extremely comfortable. It's very car-like to drive. It's very easy to drive. And Turkish traffic is a little bit chaotic. And in that situation, driving a new car, having to navigate, this car made it really easy. I like that. The Tucson is easy to like, and it works rather well in India. We already know this. But when you drive the high-end models with the latest technology, it does make you wonder. So this car has four-wheel drive, including a bunch of options. You can turn traction control off. There is lane keeping. There is four-wheel drive. It's a fully loaded car. I think there's a hill descent control also. I wonder why we don't get all these options in the cars that we get to buy. But the juicier SUV of the two we drove for the story isn't the Tucson, because late next year, Hyundai will kickstart the electric SUV market, as it were. The car shouldering that responsibility is the Kona, and Hyundai isn't messing around. While the volumes will be low and the commercial viability of electric cars in India itself will play out over the next few years at the very least, the Hyundai Kona will be assembled from CKD kits. The Kona looks great. The edgy design is fluent even by Hyundai's ever-rising standards. The combination of the narrow lights, the little details here and there, and the raked boot lid is of a thoroughly modern, eye-catching SUV. This is especially true when you see one of the flashier colors like the lime green from the launch or this orange car. This, more or less, is how the electric Kona will look like when it comes to India. But let's get inside, shall we? The Kona is a small SUV, and it's designed from the beginning to take both a regular powertrain and an electric one. What we're driving today is a petrol engine with a 7-speed DCT, etc., and we're not going to get that. What we are going to get is the electric, but the interior is going to be like this, so let's talk about that. Is it the most spacious interior you'd get in a car this size? Perhaps not, but it is one of the funkiest, because if you look at it, they've matched a lot of the trim bits inside the cabin to the color of the car, and that looks really good. So you can see the red seat belts, there's other red trim bits here and there. It looks good. The other thing you'll notice is, just like they've done on the new 2019 Tucson, they've got the infotainment screen as a tablet that sticks out, which allows them to slope the dashboard down and sort of creates the idea that there's a little bit more space in the car than you'd imagine if the dashboard was a straight thing with a faired-in screen.
The Kona also gets a little heads-up display that surprised me by remaining bright even when I was wearing polarized sunglasses. A lot of German cars today don't manage that. But it's mounted a little low and I had to duck to see it clearly, but still. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission brings with it quite a few options to this Hyundai Kona.
This Kona with the petrol powertrain has 3 drive modes, and we were in comfort and now we are in sport, and I can immediately tell you that the throttle response is a little bit crisper. The gearbox will obviously hold on to the gears longer, and it does make the SUV feel more sprightly. When the electric powertrain comes though, it's just making peak torque from 0, right? So I don't know how the drive modes will be regulated, but I understand from the guys who are making motorcycle prototypes that when you do an electric powertrain, one of your challenges is a battery management system and how it delivers the power in a linear manner, so that somebody who's used to driving a petrol or diesel engine can switch to driving an electric with as little friction as possible. Like most Hyundai SUVs, the Kona is supposed to be sporty, but it's not overtly sporty, so it's actually quite easy to drive. Now the Tucson is perhaps softer than this, and there's more body roll when you go around corners fast, but the Kona feels sporty enough and comfortable enough. And once again, Hyundai has shown that as they mature as a manufacturer, their ability to find a balance, see that was a speed breaker, hardly any problem inside the cabin. Their ability to find the balance is really, really nice, and they're able to execute it increasingly with less and less effort. It makes their cars easier to drive. It makes their cars easier to live with on a daily basis. We're in Turkey, roads are very good here compared to what we could see at home, but I would imagine that the electric Kona would be actually quite nice to drive. There will be changes though, because the electric powertrain will change weight distribution a little bit. Hyundai might have to retune the suspension a little bit on the electric car, but this holds the promise of a sporty feeling car that's actually quite comfortable to drive.
The Kona is surprisingly nice to drive. It's got genuine verve while remaining a comfortable car to drive. Although it must be said that I was expecting the cabin to be a bit more spacious.
Together, it looks like a nice, spacious, funky, modern SUV. And when you add an electric powertrain to this, I think it will be quite nice to drive.
The Hyundai Kona Electric is due to come to India in the second half of 2019. Hyundai has said that it will bring around 1,000 cars. They will be assembled here, and the price today looks like Rs 25 lakh or so ex-showroom. The price could fall if Hyundai's persistent request to the government for more support for electric cars comes through though. The Kona will also be joined by the Tucson facelift in 2019, and that's a promising car as well.